Hello, everybody. Pinch and a punch, first day of the month. And what does that mean? It means it's time to get inviting. So, for those of you who have a company page, getting your invite credits out at the start of the month is something that I highly encourage people to do. And I just wanted to take a moment to actually share what does that mean? How do we do it? And what are my best tips and tricks? So, today we're actually going to talk about why invites shouldn't be ignored. Then should we go after niche or numbers, how to maximize the acceptance rate with filters, and also what happens when somebody accepts the invites. So I wanted to go over this with people because it's a really popular question that I get asked where people say to me, look, the main problem I have with invite credits on company pages is I can't customize the invite message. And yeah, I agree, like totally, this is a problem. And it's something that I'm really working with LinkedIn behind the scenes as part of the Small Business Advisory Council to get that fixed for us. In the meantime, what I want to show you is that these can still be really powerful, even if we can't customize these message. So if you keep it in mind that no company page can customize, so it's not like on personal profiles. So the trap for people is when you try and compete and compare company pages and profiles. So here's my tips on how to actually make them work. And I'm going to share my screen and hopefully I get all of that sorted today. So why shouldn't they be ignored? Well, number one reason for that is when you are starting out, you want to grow the page as fast as possible. So ignoring them, you've got 100 invite credits. They show up every month. If you don't use them, you lose them. Now, think about it. If you're not doing it and your competitors are, they're going to grow faster than you are and take over that space. So from that perspective, it's a really good way to actually get started with your small inner circle. And then we're going to work our way out. So I'm going to go through and actually show you what I mean and how to do it behind the scenes. And let's just get into that now. So if I do this. So how do we actually do all of these invites? Now, what happens is when you go into behind the scenes on your company page, you've got the page admin view, okay? And over here on the right-hand side, we've actually got 100 invite credits that you can see how many you've got. So at any stage throughout the month, we want to try and keep that down to 0 or very minimal. So again, the more eyes that see your content, the more chances that you have of getting opportunities of various kinds. Now, LinkedIn will always suggest the same 3 people, and it says invite, invite, invite next to those 3 people. Now, my tip is actually you don't need to invite those 3 people. Okay, so I'm going to teach you how you can actually move beyond that and create a really powerful community, which brings me to the options of, do I want you to create a niche community or do I want you to create something that's much larger than that? And in my experience, the more niche that you can go, the more the chances are of people will actually be interested in your content. And then you've got more chances of people engaging, which means your content goes further, which leads to potential more opportunities. And it also means that you're more likely to pick up those second degree connections organically. So organically just means we don't have to pay for things. So I'm always a super fan of anything on LinkedIn, of using as many free tools as we can to get the job done. So what LinkedIn don't really make clear is that if you ignore these 3 on this side, you can actually click on this invite more connections button. And this is going to bring up another screen for us. And this screen only came to us around March or so earlier this year. And it was a game changer for me and something which I hope that the Pages team continue to improve. And what the game changer was is that before this time, we didn't have any of these amazing invite filters. So when we're going over, trying to set ourselves up with a niche community, here's what we're going to do. We're going to use these filters. And I want to just spend a moment just to teach people what they actually are. So when you're building a community, I suggest that you actually start with where the closest knit community is. So start with people that you've maybe done business with, that are existing clients or maybe recent clients, and look to try and invite them. So with that, for instance, you could start typing somebody's name. And in this case, I'm going to type Mr. John Asperian. So it will show you that I've invited him to follow the page. Now, these are the kinds of things you just type in the name. Once it's done, you can actually do that. Now, when it says invited, it's a bit of a misnomer. There's actually 2 things that could mean. Number one, they're invited and haven't accepted, or they've invited and have accepted, and they're actually page followers. And at the moment, there's no distinction between the two. And you also can't filter out and get rid of anyone that's already following the page. So, again, I'm hoping that this evolves over time and just keeps getting better and better. So, what else can we do besides searching by someone's name? And search by name is a really great idea, especially when you've just connected with someone on your personal profile. So these connections are all being pulled from the admin's personal connections. So if you don't have a lot of personal connections, it's going to be really tough to make the most of this when you're starting out, which is why I always say to people, if you're just starting on LinkedIn, just have your page set up. It will always be there. Just focus on building your personal connections in the interim. So once we've got this, what we're going to move on to is actually, I want you to have a look and see this locations tab. Now, if your business only serves a particular local geography, you are going to want to use the locations filter. Now, as you can see here, the locations filter is going to pick up those which are most relevant to me. So in this case, Sydney, Australia, Victoria, New South Wales. So I've got these options. But what if I wanted to target my friends that are sitting in Florida, for instance? So all you need to do is type in either the city, the state, the country, and then you can select that. And then I hit apply, and it's going to pop up and show me anyone that's sitting in Florida that I'm personally connected to. And then I can scroll through and actually work out who is it that I want to invite from that list. So in this case today, I'm going to invite Selena Young, personal branding, fabulousness, your LinkedIn gal. I'm going to invite her to follow my page. So I'm just going to do that invite of one. LinkedIn will actually tell me that invite's gone out. And obviously it encourages to post as well. So I'm going to say no, thank you in this instance. But inviting by personal name and location is not the only thing that we have options here. Now, one of the things that I also suggest to people when you're doing account-based marketing, so say, for instance, in your industry, you have a dream client. Okay, so think about who that dream client is for a moment. Now, I've come from 20 years worth of selling. And in my experience, if you have a dream client out there, you're going to want to connect with as many people as you can from that company. You don't always know when you're in business development, who it is that you're actually going to be able to connect that will put you in touch with the right person. The person that engages with your content may not be the right person to make decisions, but they may be able to refer you. So how do I use this? For instance, if I went to current companies and I was targeting anybody from Unilever, so this is some that I had set up in my former life, I would select the company and I would hit apply. And what you can see here is that I've got a list of people that have come up that work for Unilever. So I can then go through and think, is that person in the right job title of, what I'm actually looking for? So I come from a cosmetics background, and this is why, and household products. And so I used to work with all the manufacturers here in Australia, which is why I've got so many connections in this cosmetics and skincare space. So at the moment, obviously I do lots of LinkedIn training. So I mostly work with business owners, social media managers, and marketing and advertising type companies to teach them how to get the most out of LinkedIn company pages. So if I was to look at somebody that's got supply chain in their title, possibly not something that I'm going to look to straight away. Maybe down the track if I'm going really hard, but in the meantime, I'm going to be looking for someone, if I want them as an account, and be looking for someone that's probably got marketing or similar digital marketing or social media manager in their job titles. So that's how you can actually use these invites to target clients that you're after, especially if you're connected with them. You can also go back and find people that you potentially went to university with. So you can search by that if you're looking for someone in particular, or you might know that graduates of that particular university mostly work in a particular industry, so that you can go and select from there. Not really one that I use often, but I think if you were growing a company page that was educational, backed, then that would be something that's more important. One of the really cool ones, which is hidden all the way down the end, is this one here called Industries. Now, Industries here gives you the opportunity to target those in your industry first up. So, for instance, I just shared that my background is selling into the cosmetics space. I historically could have used cosmetics, selected on that, and then I hit apply, and it's going to bring me up a list of all the people that have cosmetics selected as their industry on their profile. And then once again, I can go through and connect with these people. Now, it might be something that I still work in the cosmetics industry. And so I have clients that come from that space because that's my background. So what I can do is I could actually change my focus. And instead of, once upon a time, I was probably, going after people with product development in their job title. Now I'm more likely to be looking for something like brand manager or digital marketing manager or marketing manager, something along those lines. So I actually spend quite a bit of time on this process at the beginning of the month. I will personally go through and scroll through and look for those that aren't invited and click on those which match my ideal client persona. So if you haven't done the work up front, and I'll do a video on that in the future, you really have to have in mind who your ideal client is. Company pages don't work when you're trying to be everything to everybody. The more that we niche on down with these, the better the chances are that we have of people accepting. So if I was to go back, and so again, we're trying to build a niche community. I talk often about the magic number of around 500 connections is what we're aiming for. And 500 connections using this plus content and actively promoting the page will take you around 6 to 8 months to build. And again, by the time you've practiced your content, worked out what works for your audience over that period of time, then it becomes far easier for, when people are interested in your topic. So as you can imagine, here's the problem I had. If I build my page around all of the connections that I had previously, which were in cosmetics and chemicals, and then all of a sudden Michelle sets up her business and I'm now a global LinkedIn company pages expert, then I'm going to have a mismatch, right? And I need to make sure that the audience I build are the same audience that are going to really enjoy my all of my content. So I encourage you, rather than go for big numbers, go smart, start local, former customers, close connections, people that you would like to do business with that maybe you've met at local events. Thankfully they're back on again now, and start from there. And as you saturate local, then you can start to spread out. And what you'll actually find is you'll probably pick up other people from overseas in the equivalent industries that will be interested in the topic, and they will join in and jump in. And that's really great because, they share a passion. There is not too many unique businesses that are out there totally. So what we've got to do is really try and find those people that are passionate about the topic that we're sharing about, that can add value by their expertise. And realistically, if you put the effort in to get as many people into your community and create content that resonates with them, then, you're just going to be miles in front of your competitors. Now, I said at the beginning, one of the things that happens when you send out these invites is that people will accept those invite credits. So the more targeted, the higher the chance that they'll accept it. Once they accept it, what happens? Well, you get a credit back again. How cool is that? So what it actually means is, again, there's a reward for you being specific. LinkedIn does not want you to spam. I do not want you to spam. And here's what I want you to think about if you're sending out these invites. I'm going to go in every platform, whether it's on Clubhouses, chats that I host, whether it's in an upcoming book, all of these kind of things. All of these times that I speak, I'm going to tell page administrators to send these invite credits out at the start of the month. Now, what does that mean? That means that potentially there's almost 60 million company pages on LinkedIn. If every single one of them gets 100 invites and sends them out in those first few days, if you're on the other side receiving all of these invites, you can imagine that it just reads like spam. And so spam never works. It doesn't matter what format, what platform. So from this perspective, what I want people to understand is the more that you're selective, and yes, it takes more time. Okay, so I'm not going to pretend that it's much easier not to use the filters, but the more that you use them, the greater the chance of the acceptance. And if you've sent out all 100 and someone accepts them, you need to keep an eye on that because you get the credit back. And then what I want you to do is send it out to more people. So this is something you monitor throughout the month. It's not something that needs to be done every day, although, if you're in there checking other things, it can't hurt. But what I just want people to make sure is that they're actually going in and managing this side of things. So again, we're targeting around 500 people, the followers of the page, that are in your niche community. We're starting small, we're going big, and that's the best way to use it. So remember, the more eyes that we have on your content, the more that you can build up your company brand. It supports your employees in their personal branding efforts. It helps you to attract top talent. And it really, ultimately, what we're looking is for more opportunities and leads to come out of the page. So if anyone's got any questions, you can always reach out to me. I've actually developed a new course specifically for page administrators. So with that, I was getting so many questions that people want to get started on company pages, but they don't know where to start. So I've written a course specifically for page administrators to get the most out of the company page to help support efforts that are done for employee advocacy, personal branding, marketing, and social selling. So it covers quite a bit, but I wanted to show people that all the tools that are available as far as company pages go, especially if you haven't looked at a company page in 2021 and given it a go, I'm encouraging you to go back and have another look, because what's happened is LinkedIn are pouring so much money into pages. We're seeing more and more features, and they are making them places where companies really can, lead the conversation in thought leadership in industries. So I will be sharing more about that in the near future. For now, make sure you get those credits out. They come back every month at the start of the month. Follow Good Trading Co. and I'll make sure that you get a reminder. And then, if you've got any questions, please just leave them in the chat or reach out to me directly. I'm always happy to help. So as always, keep on building. Don't give up. It takes time. And it's been a pleasure to share with you how to get the most out of company page invites. Cheers.